Do you understand how much the devil does not want this video to be made? A couple days ago, as I was planning this video, my computer just shut off, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. So I restarted it. I got this weird symbol. Then I had to take it to the Apple store, and they said, oh, you know what that symbol means? All your data has been deleted. There's nothing left on this Mac. You have to get a new one. So I had to get a freaking brand spanking new $1,700 MacBook Pro. Because the devil ain't gonna stop me. Because God deserves glory for what he's done in my life. And maybe someone out there can relate to it. So if you don't like the devil, give me a thumbs up. And if you don't, well then I guess you love Satan. So begins like every boring testimony. I grew up in a good Christian family. Mom, dad, older brother. Grew up in the church from day one. Sunday school, youth group, Bible quizzing, if you know what's up, Bible quizzing. All of it, the whole shebang. By all accounts, I was a happy, intuitive, funny kid, although that's not how I remember it. I remember being an anxious kid. I remember having a lot of anxiety from a very young age. I was afraid people were going to break into our house all the time and hurt me. I was afraid my parents were just going to die in some car accident. I had really bad separation anxiety for like much longer than normal kids have it. Yeah, kind of as a result, I just felt more broken than everyone else. I felt weaker than everyone else because, you know, I went to a Christian Dutch private school with all those freaking Sasquatches just tall as hell for no reason. No, but yeah, I was the smallest in my class. I was also just a very skinny Indian kid, which is normal, but not where I was. It wasn't normal. So I was smaller, I was weaker, and I was also poorer than everyone else because it was a private school. And even though I grew up in the church and I went to Christian school and we took our faith seriously at home, I grew up with just a lot of confusing mixed messages about God. Some of the mixed messages I got were like, yes, God totally loves you. God is totally loving. He died for you on the cross. He wants a relationship with you. God made you special and he loves you very much. Except then certain things would happen in life where, say, I had a nightmare. I used to have like really bad recurring nightmares as a kid. And then I would wake my parents up like kids do. And then one of the questions that they'd ask me was, oh, well, do you have something to repent for? And so the message I got was, oh, okay, I must have done something bad. And so God sent this torment into my life to teach me a lesson. And most of the time I didn't even know what I did, if I had even done anything. But what that said to me as a kid was, God is really punitive and he is just looking for any reason to punish me. Even when I don't even know what I did, he's just so ready to hurt me. And man, like, I'm just so happy I know him better now. I'm so happy that I know his true character and that that's not who he is. And that sometimes kids have nightmares. That's not because you did anything wrong. Gosh. But then other things would also happen in my life that would make me question God's character. Like, I always wondered, okay, why when I pray do my nightmares not go away? Why do I pray and my anxiety doesn't go away? Why when I pray does God not give my family more money? Like, why are we always, like, scraping by? And it just left me with this question, like, okay, like, what is God good for? Like, what does it mean that he loves me? Like, all right, I'll love you from afar, but, like, in terms of actually getting involved in your life, oh, well, you shouldn't even expect that. You shouldn't expect that. I'm just holy. I'm gonna do nothing for you, and if you don't think I'm holy and awesome and amazing after that, I'm gonna send more torment into your life until you do. Except I would have never even consciously thought these things, as I would have been way too afraid to. I thought God was going to read my thoughts and he was going to get more pissed at me. So kind of felt like a lot of Christians were just kind of psychopaths, if I'm honest. I thought that it's like, okay, there's this God. He doesn't really do anything for us. He's just kind of angry, except like we just have to like discipline ourselves into like loving him and thinking he's great. And, you know, I was down, you know, I guess. I mean, I was a kid. Maybe around middle school, I kind of discovered, like, apologetics, you know, like the kind of awkward, but Ravi Zacharias, John Lennox, William Lane Craig. Pretty sophisticated for a middle school, if I do say so myself. I think I figured that, okay, the way that I'll love God is with my brain. Maybe if I just learn a lot about him and like defending the faith, then maybe he'll love me and I'll love him and I'll figure out what's actually good about him. But then also around middle school is when a lot of insecurities, like with everyone, middle school is just that horrible time of life where just a lot of your insecurities just pop up and just become solidified. A big thing I felt was rejection from guys and from girls. Middle school guys, the main way you bond is sports, activities, and stuff like that. And me being smaller and weaker than everyone, like I used to like sports, but then everyone had their growth spurts, and I'm still 3 foot negative 18 and 2 pounds. And so doing that kind of stuff was just embarrassing, honestly. I remember feeling this one really bad rejection that like really marked me when I was in grade 8. And from that moment on, I was like, oh, I'm disgusting. I'm gross. Why would anyone want me? I'm so ugly. I'm not really worth getting to know, like getting into my world. I'm not interesting enough, so I have to make myself interesting. I have to make myself special in order for anyone to accept me. And that's when I really just became a huge compulsive liar for no reason other than I was so insecure, and I thought that I had to make myself more special than I was, because there's obviously nothing special about me. I'm gross. Everyone rejects me. Which even throughout high school, I started to make like friends that just liked me for who I was. But I couldn't really receive it because of what I really believed about myself. It just didn't land with me. But then also around high school, around grade 10, my mom saw a Facebook ad that an Elevation church was opening in our area. And I had heard of Elevation Worship because I had heard Give Me Faith. And I'm like, wow, this is a really good song. Yeah, sure, I'm really down to check them out. So we went to a Saturday service that they had. And that's when my faith and my life really started shift. And say what you want about mega churches and Elevation and Stephen Furtick, and trust me, I've heard every idiot argument on the internet. But that's where I became a real Christian. That's where I started to understand that my faith should have a real impact on my practical life. See, the church I grew up with, I got a lot of great head knowledge. Like, I knew the Bible really well, and also because I got really into apologetics when I was in middle school, like, I knew that really well. So I was really well equipped in my head, but again, I still never really understood why we thought God was good. At Elevation is where I learned that God is actually good, and he's actually loving, and he's not just looking to punish you. He's actually really kind. He's not just trying to toughen you up. He's not just trying to make you into something that he can use and that's all you're good for. Like, no, like he loves you because you're his son. And, you know, before you're a disciple, you're a son. And that's what I needed. That's what I was missing. That's what I didn't understand. And then I'm like, okay, maybe Christians aren't psychopaths. Maybe they actually love God because he's worth being loved. And you don't have to just try to psych yourself into loving him. Elevation was also where I was introduced to good worship music. No offense to my home church, great church. But a lot of times there's just an attitude where I don't really have to try. I just kind of show up for worship. Didn't really listen to the song links, and I didn't really think that it was worth it. And you know, it's fine. You know why? Because the real elect are gonna worship. Let's just make worship so mid that only the elect will worship. Don't want any of those dirty, filthy, carnal reprobates to start singing. That was a little extreme. I don't think anyone actually went that far, but that was the impression I got. Except like just the way Elevation was so excellent and the mixing was so good and just all the songs were so well written that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually better than the world. We have all the excellence of the world, but with a real message of substance. That was also very impactful for me because obviously right now I am a worship director at a church, but we'll get to that later. But anyways, the next important thing that happened was right after I graduated high school, I had a huge falling out with all these friends that I had made in high school, and it was over a girl, of course. Like every good male friendship fight is over a girl. But during that time was the most anxious period of my life. I was so afraid for my life. I was afraid because people were posting stuff about me. A lot of it was just misunderstandings between me and this other person, but so many people got involved, and that's just always the recipe for bad things. It's funny. The guy who I actually had the falling out with, we're actually best friends now. We're best friends because I lost all the other ones, which is fine. And also during my fallout with these friends, God also took that opportunity to really clean lying and like deceitfulness just out of me. Like he just showed me like the price of inauthenticity is just way too high. And so now a big value for me is being authentic, and like I'm not gonna lie and say I haven't lied since then, but it's not nearly to how trapped I was in that sin. But yeah, during that time was when I just had to lean on God, and I got really close to God. And I remember there was a dog park near my house at the time, and there was a picnic table that kind of overlooked the highway. And I would go there and I would sit and I would bring my earbuds and I would listen to Resurrecting by Elevation Worship and Do It Again by Elevation Worship. And I would just feel so connected to God. Worship just has that superpower. Like you could read the words on a page and be like, yes, that is true. That is logically true. But like put the words with music, it shoots right through your defenses, like right here. I think that's why God tells us to like worship with music. It goes past logic, which is what I needed because I was much too logical with my faith. And so yeah, after I had that experience, sometime in my early university years, I went to this young adult conference called Fluid, which is at the Meeting House. Again, kind of awkward now. If you know, you know. At the time, I was in university for media studies because I wanted to go into making music videos because that's what I was good at. I had actually gone to a film festival for one of the music videos I made. It was just like a lip sync music videos for like a class project, but I got into the Vaughn Film Festival with it. Then during my time in my undergrad, I was realizing that, okay, if I actually want to be successful at something, which I don't go into anything to not be successful at it. So if I was going to be successful at being a music video director, I know I would probably have to compromise my values a lot. I have to film a lot of just butts doing this, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. And then also, I remember I was taking a web design course that I would always miss half the class because I would leave the class to go lead worship at a church campus ministry that they had named Embassy. So I was already feeling really drawn to that. And as a result, I wasn't doing very well in web design. I knew I'd probably have to repeat it, except I just couldn't, like, I could, but like, the fact that I just couldn't stop myself from going to Embassy because that's what I wanted more. That's what I prioritized more. So then at this young adult conference, I just really felt God calling me into worship ministry. During Fluid, I remembered how much worship had connected my heart to God. And I'm like, I really want to give that away to people. I really want to be able to help people connect their hearts to God, not just their heads. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I dropped out of my media studies program, which was definitely a leap because when you're just in that, high school, university, just train track, it feels very safe, which I liked, which is funny because I'm not like someone who like tends to play it safe, but like it was still a big deal for me to drop out, except like I definitely felt like I was in my calling and I had a peace about it. So then I had an internship at my home church being a worship intern. So I'm like, great, okay, maybe I'll do this and then eventually I'll be the worship pastor of my home church and I'll make it how I want it to be. Except then, lockdown happened and then we weren't doing live services anymore. So I was like, great. But this is when my old youth pastor comes in. I have had a youth pastor named Ruben, and he left us. He left me to go pastor another church. Selfish. No, but yeah, so then while lockdown was happening, he posted a story on Instagram saying, hey, we need worship leaders. If you're down, come help. And I was like, great. I'm not really leading worship right now because lockdown stuff. So, yeah, I will definitely come help you. So then, yeah, I came to lead worship at this small little dinky church in the middle of a gym with like me, a guitar, and someone on cajon, and then someone playing keys and harmonizing, which was a huge step down in production from my home church, which was like a bigger church, except I just felt so much more freedom because, if you know big churches, there's big red tape. But here I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so free here. I could do whatever I feel is best for ushering people into God's presence. And so eventually I started volunteering there like once a month, and then that turned into every week. And then eventually, I got hired on as the worship director. And now, I love my church family. They're awesome. I love Zoe Church. Come to Zoe Church. Greatest people ever. And actually, since joining Zoe is how God has kind of confronted a lot of these insecurities that I've always had inside me that I mentioned before about how I'm just easily rejectable and how I'm not special and how I need to somehow make myself acceptable to people. And just through my relationship with these people, he's really started to shift a lot of the ways I think about myself and feel about myself. And obviously, I'm not all the way perfect. I don't think I ever will be until heaven. But I've seen so much redemption in that area. Otherwise, I probably couldn't even make this video. So yeah, that's probably where I'm gonna stop it. But there's like so much more that I didn't even begin to talk about. And I'll probably do another one of these. I'll probably do another one with Cynthia because we got testimony that's crazy. You know, all this to say that I'm living in a lot of answered prayers. No, God has definitely had his hand on me. Even though that's hard for me to believe sometimes, because it's hard for all of us to believe sometimes, God has never left you one step of the way. And you know, if you're still breathing, he's not done with you. Best is yet to come, guys. Oh, but yeah, the main thing I learned just throughout the years is that God is actually good. He actually loves you. He's actually kind. He's actually gentle. He actually really embodies all the fruits of the Holy Spirit, which, just a little exercise. When you imagine God, do you actually imagine him as gentle? Do you actually imagine him having self-control and he's not just ready to punch you? Oh, but yeah, God is actually good. That's my testimony. But yeah, if you resonated with anything, let me know. If you want me to do more of these talking videos, let me know. But yeah, I'm going to sushi later, so I'll probably vlog that. So vlogs are coming. So subscribe or subscribe, A or B. You can pick either one. Okay, bye.